Hey, it's Josh from Boston Sports Geek, and I'm joined with Chase and Kyle
Hello.
today. And today we're going to spend a few minutes to talk about some of the crazy contracts that are still being paid out. And so let's get geeky. So Kyle, we're going to start with you. I know you found some contracts that are still being paid out or are just kind of ended, and let's get into those stories.
So I really had just one I wanted to talk about, and I thought this one was still going on, and I thought it was just really cool, so that's what I'm kind of sticking with. It actually got paid out in a settlement in 2014, but let me tell you what I'm talking about. So Ozzy and Daniel Silna, they're former owners of the ABA team, the St. Louis Spirits. You guys ever heard of that team?
I have.
I have from doing this research and reading the article, but they were not like the storied franchise of the 70s. But anyways, these guys, they turned an initial $1 million investment into an $800 million payout. They purchased the franchise, the St. Louis Spirits again, in 1974. And then in 1976, the ABA-NBA merger took place. So there were 6 teams, 4 of them, who we know as the Nets, the Nuggets, the Pacers, and the Spurs. They were bought out into the NBA. Not bought out, brought into the NBA. And then 2 more, so the Spirits and then... I can't even.
Can't even finish it.
The Kentucky Colonels.
What? That's not real.
Owned by the majority owner of KFC.
Nice.
Kentucky Fried Chicken. The Kentucky Colonels. They were each offered a $3 million buyout. So if we're doing the math, initial $1 million investment could have turned into a $3 million investment. Triple your money. That sounds pretty good, right?
Not
so
bad.
that's what the Colonel did. And I mean, he's obviously doing well for himself. But the Silnas, they refused, and they worked out the following deal. They said they're going to be paid for any Spirits players that were drafted by NBA teams. So that amount came to about $2.2 million. On top of that, they said they wanted 1/7 of a share of each of the 4 former ABA teams' visual rights that come from the NBA. Okay. So basically, any media visual rights, so TV deals, basically. Mm-hmm. And that amounted to 50% of 1 full share. So that's some weird math. Not sure where they come up with the 7th. But basically 57% of one of those teams' shares in media rights. So how did that work out?
Yeah.
Oh, and one important detail, that was in perpetuity. So basically the deal was never supposed to end.
Yeah.
They received no money for 3 years. In 1979, they started having money trickle in. They got $200,000.
I could live on that.
What's that?
I could live on
Yeah,
that.
exactly. You could live on that, right? For a few years.
Yeah, yeah.
For a lot of years, probably in 1979. In 2020, you could live on it for 5 or 10. By 2014, though, and there's a lot of TV deals and stuff in between. I think there were like 4 or 5 deals that happened, and every time the money just jumped. It gets astronomical. But by 2014, or 35 years later, they had earned about $300 million. And
that's a good day.
Total. Exactly. So 1979, they earned $200,000. But that's technically the first 4 years, right? Because the first 3 they got 0. So they went from $50,000 a year to $8.5 million a year.
Wow.
But this is where the deal ends for them. So they had signed it in perpetuity in 2014. There was a new TV deal being struck by the NBA, and they really wanted to buy these guys out before they signed a new deal. So they bought out the brothers for an additional $500 million. So in total, they made $800 million for buying a ABA team for $1 million, hanging on to it for 2 years, and then flipping it.
Wow. I wonder, are these guys still around? Like, did you see anything? Like, are they still alive, or is that going to like their estate?
Their estate, yeah.
I think one of the brothers is still alive. I can Google it.
Okay, that just really interesting. That's crazy. So I have a few. I don't know if I went as in depth as you did, Kyle. You really, you went pretty in depth there, breaking it down. But I just went for some contracts of players, and some players that are probably more popular. I focused on baseball. And Todd Helton, he was a player that played for the Colorado Rockies. Many people know who he is if they're baseball fans. But although he hasn't played a game since 2013, he still receives $1.3 million all the way through 2023 from the Colorado Rockies. And I thought that was pretty good for not playing in 10 years. He's not. I mean, he'll have been retired for 10 years in 2023, and he still made $1.3 million a year. And just a fun fact I found was that Todd Helton was Peyton Manning's backup quarterback at Tennessee. So I thought that was kind of interesting. He could have been a football player too, I guess, if he wanted to go that way, but he went with baseball. Now, one a little more close to home, we are Boston Sports Geek. Manny Ramirez, who hasn't played a game since 2011, but he still makes about $2 million a year through 2026 from the Boston Red Sox. So, yeah, that's over 10 years of just $2 million a year, just sitting doing nothing. That's not too bad.
And I thought it was crazy that we still have to have players like, Antonio Brown on our cap hit for the Patriots, even though he's not been on the team for, nearly two full years. He played like 2 games.
Yeah.
And we're still carrying him on our cap.
I know
That's like,
that was
but
a bad
to be
deal.
paying until 2026.
We beat the Miami that week though.
But was it worth the cap hit for this year?
No, I don't think it was.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, to be paid out $2 million a year until 2026, that's a good retirement fund.
Yeah, not bad. So it keeps going. Ken Griffey Jr., another big name, he was a slugger. He hasn't played since 2010, but the Cincinnati Reds still owe him $3.6 million through 2024. So $3.6 million. And then the last one I have, a name that many may know if they were Mets fans back in the day, Bobby Bonilla. He hasn't played since 2001, but the Mets still pay him $1.19 million through 2035. So
must be nice.
Now, the reason though for that one, and some of these other ones may have been the same, was that they was like a buyout possible, and they just, instead of getting it all in one lump sum, they said no, break it up over years. So technically, it's just the way they wanted to get paid. But sitting and being retired and making millions of dollars a year, not too bad of a way to go out, if you ask me.
Especially because if that was all, since for Bobby Bonilla, whatever. Bobby Bonilla, whatever. Bobby Bonilla, whatever. But the inflation since 2001, your 1.19 million then, if you had taken the buyout in a lump sum, your 1.19 million is worth now, and certainly will be worth more in 2035 than it was in 2001. So taking the yearly is a much better deal.
Yeah,
looks
for
like.
sure. Yeah. So those were the ones I found. I thought this was a really interesting topic to talk about, Kyle, and I'm really glad you mentioned it. We just tackled basketball, a story in basketball, and some football ones. But you fans that are watching the show, watching this video, let us know if you know of some that are different than what we've talked about. Or if you just want to talk about the ones that we've mentioned, go ahead in the comment section below. We'd love to hear your opinion. So thanks for watching, and I don't even have money for a cheeseburger.
It's just Manny being Manny.